by the way, I think the best boxing fans right today, okay, it's amazing to me. England is the center of boxing. Germany was very popular, but you guys got to answer one question for me. I want to interview you. The question is, and I love it, I love the enthusiasm. Where did the tradition start where everyone sings Sweet Caroline? I love it. I joined in the singing, but I don't know where it came from.
It's the crowd pleaser. It gets the crowd going. I'm not sure exactly where it started. Rich or Spence might be able to tell me, but any TV show now, like they want it on just before the main event, it gets the crowd sort of going, and it works every time. Every time, Dennis, it works, as you know.
It's an incredible song, though, isn't it?
When's it Mike Goodall who just used to play songs in between fives? When didn't he do it?
I'm not sure. Because I know, like, it come on before the Matchroom days and stuff like that. But obviously, they really adopt it now in every show before the main event. Sweet Caroline goes.
So the guy who puts the rings up, Dennis, who's in charge of all the rings in Britain, is like a workaholic, probably like yourself. He also used to use the sound system, and he used to play some songs before fights and in between fights. And I think he probably put it on, and
really?
Yeah. I think Neil Diamond's probably pretty happy with it.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
I'm
sure. And I got to tell you the funny thing, when I'm watching fights coming from England, and they start singing, and I have the world's worst voice. I used to bet that if there was a dog within a couple blocks radius, I'd make him howl, keep howling. And I'm over there singing Sweet Caroline. I just think the turnouts that you get at fights, okay, that Joshua was drawing, and you're getting 60, 70,000 people. I mean, it's extraordinary. Okay, it's extraordinary. Incidentally, I thought Tyson Fury absolutely won the first fight against Wilder. I thought it was a horrible decision in spite of the knockdowns. Okay, horrible. If it was on rounds, I don't know, it would probably have been 8-4, maybe 9-3. I had my predictions right on both fights, and I picked Fury on the first one as well.
How do you think Tyson Fury will do against Anthony Joshua?
I lean towards Fury with a proviso, with one proviso, that Joshua needs, in the second Ruiz fight, okay, he did a Klitschko in that he was, for most of the fight, he was very, very careful, maybe a little overly so, but he pulled it out. I think he needs to get restored confidence. It needs a confidence builder or two. With that, if that happens, it could be interesting. It could be very interesting. I think probably most people think it's going to be a walk in the park for Fury. I'm not convinced if he's given if his confidence is restored, that it may not be a better battle than a lot of people are projecting.
As somebody, Dennis, who created probably, well, not created, you didn't create it, but you were part of that fight that was, the battle of the races and white v black, and then you look at the situation today, it's never happened since. How do you compare that time to this time now in our sports? I mean, sport we use then in a way to try and divide people. Where do you see that to today?
Well,
is that one of your regrets, like Anthony Asher? Is it one of your regrets that it became like that you couldn't stop it?
That it took racial overtones. It's indefensible. It was unconscionable. Okay, and it's funny. I prior to this, I was waiting for the last minute, and I was watching the Floyd funeral here, which is as tragic could be. And in our country, I don't know how it is in yours, there's been a lot of progress made, but a lot more progress has to be made. And there has to be a recognition that a threat to freedom anywhere is a threat to freedom everywhere. And to me, bigotry and hatred of any type is reflective of a mental disease, because there are individuals that I dislike. They could be black, white, or brown, and I'm very comfortable, okay, of letting somebody know if I don't like them, that I don't like them. But it doesn't have to do with the pigmentation of his skin, and or what background they are, or what religion they are. Because to hate millions of people who you don't know is not only the epitome of stupidity, but it reflects some serious mental problems. And so I think that in housing, a person has there have been Berlin walls in this country, and in many countries around the world, where instead of a person being able to buy a home or rent a place where the pocketbook permits them and a desire directs them, there's Berlin walls that are not made of the concrete, or made of concrete, but not in Germany, but here. Now, has there been progress made? There is no doubt. Okay. However, there's a lot more progress that must be made.
Yeah.
Do you think boxing's something that we can do that with now, Dennis? Do you think that's boxing's and sport in general is something that we can be used to do that? Or do you think just after seeing what's happened in Michigan, obviously it runs much deeper than that, and it's much more deep-rooted, the problems and the issues around it?
Well, I think sports could help. I think that racism has been institutionalized in many countries, okay? Sometimes it's been more subtle. I do think that, for example, in the United States, when a black youngster grows up, as compared to years ago, there are so many positive role models. The black doctor, the black attorney, the black judge, where years ago there weren't as many of these positive examples. Okay, there was, the denigrating characterizations and other stuff. So things evolve. Okay, and as I said, things are improved, but there's still a lot more progress to be made. Now, boxing to me has always been reflective of the socio and economic climb of refugees and of people that are hungry and deprived. For example, okay, in the 20s and early 30s, the majority of professional fighters were Jewish. Okay, I could name champions to you that would shock you. There were even fighters that were Irish that were really Jewish, because being Jewish wasn't unique as a fighter, so that they took on Irish names. Then Irish and Italians and Afro-Americans and Spanish, and then you have East Europeans, Russians, and other people. So it reflects usually the first generation or second generation, okay? People that are hungry and people that are looking for a way out. And, boxing can provide great opportunities. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that when I take a look at most of the fighters that I've been involved with, okay, and how they are, what their health is like years afterwards, what economic situation they're in, okay? Fighters that weren't champions, Mike Ayala, fighting Ayala's, I managed him. He went into heating and air conditioning, has a little ranch. Ronnie Harris, okay, became a millionaire in business. Okay, he had the tire concession for Ohio. Jerry Cooney will never have to work in his life. Eddie Davis, may his soul rest in peace, kept a full-time job and had a Supret, a small supermarket. I mean, I could go on and on of fighters I had, and I'm happy how their lives have turned out. I'm happy that they have their health and they're not slurring or and you can look at, I mean, I've retired fighters that were undefeated. It was funny. I got a call the other day from a guy who had a draw with the future champion, scored 2 knockouts in a row, and I retired him because I felt he was burning the candles at 2 ends. I had another fellow who I stopped who only had 6 or 7 pro fights with big world champions as a 50-year-old in the gym, but he just wasn't dedicated. Another guy was 19-1, and the only fight that he lost, for him, I didn't retire, frankly, is where he broke a leg and broke his ankle, and the second round hopped out of the ring, didn't tell us he broke his ankle. And then obviously when he hobbled, we saw what happened. Who could have been potentially could have been a champion. But there are many things that could be done and that should be done to ensure the safety. I think probably one of the biggest knocks against me is people would say that I was, that I had a tendency to be a little overly protective of my fighters. Well, let me say one thing to you. A manager doesn't have to be a profile in courage. Excuse the expression. His ass isn't getting into the ring. Okay? So I used to look at things at risk-reward. Okay, what's the risk? What's the reward? But coupled with the fact that you can't put a fighter in with stiff after stiff after stiff after stiff and expect him to develop as a professional. So it's making the right fight at the right time. Sometimes you have guys who have great ability but don't have the confidence. Some other fighters have great confidence and don't have the ability. You got to try, and this is an ideal, when the confidence and the ability are both there, is to take the riskier fights.
Were the kids moving on to present day, or were the kids you like to watch now, Dennis?
Excuse me?
Moving on to present day, were the boxers you like to follow and keep an eye on now?
Well, there's a bunch. I mean, I think you got some really good prospects today coming on the scene. This kid Stevenson looks like he's something special. Canelo, I think, is making improvements. Although I thought he lost both Golovkin fights. I get a tremendous kick, by the way, out of Tyson Fury. I thought Andre Ward and I thought Hopkins had an extraordinary boxing IQ among the elite. I mean, there's many young kids coming up, so I think that once this quarantine is over, in fact, I think tonight is going to be the first fight in a long time. They're having it on ESPN. I think this kid Stevenson is fighting.
Yeah, Shakur Stevenson defending.
How can I forget one guy who I love watching? I absolutely think that he's a throwback, Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko.
Don't tell Anthony that.
What?
Yeah, he's not bad.
I got to tell you something. I think that I said Hopkins.
Yeah.
And I think Lomachenko's boxing IQ is, yeah. Now, to be honest, I don't believe he's really a lightweight, and I think he's 130 pound, really 130 pounder. And I also think that he has more problems with his hands than the public is aware of.
I think he broke his hand on my head, to be honest. I think the shot that finished me, he come into the back and he actually said, Dennis, he says, My hand went with the final shot. Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
You there? Yeah,
He-
the right hook, the
Yeah.
last punch he hit me, we've actually done his hand as well. So yeah, he does, and he has one of the best hand rappers in Rossabna, who's fantastic at rapping hands. He ensures that he's throughout the camp. He's there, so I agree with you there.
Yeah. He's just.
So
when
would you
when
say?
I watch a box,
Sorry, Dennis. Would you say that Lomachenko is the best pound for pound fighter in the world? Because the three names that always get called is Lomachenko, Terence Crawford, and Canelo as being the best pound for pound fighters. So in that order, who would you say your top three are?
Yeah.
well, you see, problem with categorizing in terms of Lomachenko is you don't have the length of time in his career. Okay, in terms of, I like a stylist. Okay, that's why I love Lomachenko. Crawford, he's done everything that's asked of him, and many people believe that he should be there. I have some reservations that really aren't based upon anything other than just an instinct. I don't know, but he's everything he's done, he's done in phenomenal fashion. It'll be interesting to see what he does as a welterweight against quality competition, and I think that'll tell a lot. Alvarez is starting to become a better fighter. He's starting to become relaxed. My puzzle with him is he seems to tire and then get a second wind, and sometimes he's tentative, but he gets the job done. So it's a difficult thing to rate. I wouldn't underrate Lomachenko, but I don't know how long a career he will have.
Okay.
Right, well, Dennis, thanks ever so much for joining us tonight. It's been absolutely
Thank you, Dennis.
to walk through history.
It was lovely. Thank you I thoroughly enjoyed that, sir.
Hey, guys, I enjoyed you. I enjoyed the questions, and it's been my pleasure being on the show.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
sir.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Take care. Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.